So I've been working on this fucking amazing song. So I want to show you guys this song I've been working on, right? It's basically kind of done, but not really. So this is a song, I called it Alone But Never Lonely, and it's on my album called The Lonely Psychonaut. I want to try to show you this, but I can't really because I need a new computer. So like every time if I put too much shit in my beat, I can't really play it back because it starts to static like this. There's static and shit, but like I want to try to show you this though, because it's a fucking masterpiece I've been working on. It's from my album The Lonely Psychonaut. It's called Alone But Never Lonely. And like, it's literally one of my best songs I made. And I guess I say this because every single new song I make tends to be better than all the others. Which I'm a little bothered with this because I finished this song and then like it took about I started it in 2016, right? 17. And then I haven't touched it since. And then I just picked it back up like a week and a half ago, and then it took me about a week and a half to finish it. But like I was a little bothered because it made me want to go back and fucking fix everything else again because I was like, damn, I just remastered Psychedelics and Computers. So that's about to come out. But The Lonely Psychonaut, the mixing, the engineer, it's just the whole project itself, the sound, the warmth of the instruments that I was able to add back into the instruments, like, because I use all software. So like I just use FL Studios and I use basically the stock sounds because I can't afford any extra plugins right now, like, so I was forced to learn, the stock sounds or whatever. But I'm able to do so much with what I know because when you are forced to use what you got, you literally use everything you got. Most people don't even know, like, the stock things in FL Studios, like all the different extra plugins that people buy. There'll be like one plugin you can buy that has like 4 different effects in it or something. And if you turn a knob, it turns all those 4 different effects on. Or you can go to FL Studios in the stock and you can put those 4 effects individually on the rack and put it on, an instrument or whatever. And like you can, whatever, like this is how I've been able to alter my own sound into what I wanted it to be because the sounds I'm using are technically old, but I'm able to alter the frequencies of them and reverb and echo and dimension and all these different things that I'm able to do to then create the music I create, right? Because I was just working on this on these wah-wahs, right? Like, so in the song Alone But Never Lonely, there's a bunch of like wah-wah like in it, but like you're able to do that at different rates. So like at a 1/2 or a 1/4 or a 1/8, like you're able to wah 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 wah, or make it do wah, wah, like or go slow or whatever. So like throughout the whole beat, I would fluctuate the different, from the different wah wahs how I was doing, and it was fucking awesome, bro. Because like I was able to add unison to them, and people don't understand what I mean with all these words, but like adding unison is when you add like. When there's a wah-wah, there's only one of them. You can add unison where you can add multiple of them. So like, when I got to like, for like 3, 5, and 6, those were all, they sounded fucking great. So like, I would fluctuate between that and like, so many people have no idea what the fuck I'm talking about. But like, I'm gonna try to play the song. Like, I'm gonna try to edit this video and shit and like clip in some of the parts. Okay, so I wanted to show you this real quick. So it's all basically the same instrument, okay? So there's this GMS, okay? And I have GMS, like all these different, like 6 of them, okay? Now, each different one I modulated differently at a different time, at a different rate. So, like, if you see this one, hold on, let me try to mute it. So there's 3 of them. I'm only playing this one. So if I move this, so I put it at half. I got this one. So then there's this one, which is a much different one, all the way up here. But then also I've added different effects because you can fuck with the thing up here and add these different, all this shit and like all that. So like, this is the part about making music that I love, right? This is why I love that it takes me weeks, sometimes months, years to make a song, because like I get to alter the things the way I want. I get, like, there's no rules. This is why I don't make music like normal music, because I don't like rules. I don't like structure. I like expression, right? So that's what I do, is I express myself through the music. And that's why I make electronic music with basically no words in it, because like the sounds themselves, the effects I use, the frequencies, the way it's structured, everything is the words. It is saying something. It's a language that I've learned to speak, making music. And it's like, that's why the song's called Alone But Never Lonely, because you can hear it in the song where it's like, yeah, it sounds a little sad. Obviously I'm alone if I'm able to sit here and make all these albums and shit, but never lonely. You can hear that in the song too. But like, even though the album's called The Lonely Psychonaut, it's kind of a, I don't know what the fucking word is, but like, I guess what I'm trying to say is, making music is like so fucking fun to me, right? Because like I'm able to chop things, and like for the most part I don't use samples, only because I like to express myself and I like to alter the frequencies. So like I could take a basic sound and then alter it many different ways into whatever sound I want it to be, or whatever sound I'm kind of feeling in that moment in time. Like, because it depends on how I feel, will depend on the sounds that I use. That's why with the song that I just made, I'm able to, so for example, if there's an instrument and it's going wah wah, right, it might kind of sound more, like naturally it might sound more wah wah, but I'm able to add shit to it, which then adds more space to it and makes it bigger. It makes it more, like, add the bass that would be there, because there's a lot of people that think that analog equipment or analog keyboards or synthesizers are different than like software synthesizers, like the synthesizers that are in FL Studios. People think it's any different, but to me it's not. Like, yeah, they might be able to produce a different sound, but if you think they're different, then you can match the frequencies. Like, most people just don't know how to EQ correctly, so they really don't understand that it's like, okay, all I need to do is see the instrument. Like, if somebody has a keyboard, an electric synth keyboard, right, and they click dun on the synth, if I could see the frequencies on an EQ of what the fucking dun is doing, then I'll be able to imitate that graph of the frequencies that the normal synth is doing with the synth that I use in the software. Because yeah, the software synths, they might not be able to produce the same thing, and so a lot of people say that software synthesizers aren't as warm as like the normal synthesizers. But that is because the normal synthesizers are designed to be warm because they can't be altered really. Like, I guess you can alter them, but like it's not the same type of alteration as like the way you're able to alter it in a software, because the software, like, because what we're doing with synthesizers is like my voice right now, you hear my voice because there's vocal waves, right? Vocal tones, vocal waves hitting the microphone, which you're able to then, it's able to pick up and I'm able to record it. What a synthesizer does is it takes electrical waves, like an electricity, and synthesize it and like turns it into sound. Like, I don't know how to explain it. But a wave is a wave, right? Like, so like you're able to turn the electrical wave into sound. A computer is a synthesizer, or a synthesizer is a computer that can only be a synthesizer. Like, a calculator is a computer that can only be a calculator. But as the future is coming, I think we're gonna see a lot more people like me that only use like the synths in FL Studios, because I use my computer keyboard and my computer mouse. I don't have a MIDI keyboard or whatever. Everything I do is in FL Studios. Or sometimes I switch some things out of FL Studios and maybe put it into a different program to add effects to make my own samples or my own stuff. I'm working on making my own sample pack, so like there's a bunch of things I'm like working on with all that. But like, I guess what I'm trying to say is that there's many different ways to make music, but the way I make music is very different. And I'm thinking about making a class of some sort, of like me recording myself explaining how I make music, and I'd have to explain specifically in the class this is not the correct way, because I don't know music theory. I don't even know what notes I'm fucking playing. Like I said, I've learned more about the frequency graph, of how to graph a certain instrument and how to replicate a sound, where it's like this is how I was able to get my bass so much clearer recently, which is one time I was listening to Doja Cat's album Planet Her, and I was listening to the bass, and I was like, yo, why don't my bass sound like that? I was like, what the fuck? So then I got to work, and I listened to her bass, and then I would play my bass, and then I would fuck with the frequencies of the graph until they matched, right? At least as close of a match as I can get it. And then I was like, okay, now the bass is grafted. That's the graph that I need for that type of bass. I added a little distortion, added a filter, added a little compression, and then I was able to get it to sound almost identical to the bass that was in Doja Cat's song, even though they were probably completely different instruments, completely different way of making it, but the frequencies matched close enough where I was getting the same feel. So these are things that you can't learn in school. No one can teach you this. Like, it takes work. I've trained my ears for years to be able to do that, because that's what I was doing with the wah wah. And like, even though there's no pressure, like it's imaginary pressure, I was able to add more pressure to the wah wah yesterday, because it was like almost lacking something. So it was almost like you know how like when you blow into a trumpet, there's air pressure, right? And if there's not a lot of air pressure, it'll kind of be soft. So it was almost like I was able to add more air pressure by adding, I forget what the fuck I added. I don't remember what the fuck I added, but I added something which then just made it sound like it was pushing out more. And then I was like, well, this is like, you can do all this shit in FL Studios, and these are the stock fucking plugins and shit, bro, like the stock effects and all this shit. And I'm like, it's all there, you just have to learn how to use it. And that's why there's a lot of producers that talk about, I seen this one producer make a class, and I just seen the advertisement where he was talking about professional producer, people who produce non-professionally or mix non-professionally think that the point is to add a bunch of plugins on the thing on one rack, and he said no, professionals don't do that. And I was like, but trust me, I'm no professional. I learned because I've been doing this my whole life in my own bedroom when I was a kid type shit. Like, I didn't go to school for music production. I didn't go to I never took a music class. I don't know how to play a piano. I don't know none of that. But I know how to do what I do. And I know how to do it very well. So, something that, I think people just need to do is just do more, right? Because there's an issue with music where just, people think you got to do it the right way, or that there's a wrong way, or that there is no right or wrong way. It's art. It's expression. Especially electronic music, because before electronic music and before the turntables came out and all that, yeah, there was a wrong way necessarily. But once DJs started making beats and electronic beats and shit, they weren't necessarily people that could structure a song correctly or do really good melodies, right? But they were able to do what they do very well. And that's the same thing with me. I'm able to do what I do very well. And to the point where it's just me. It's just what I do. But the information I have about making beats, this shit it's not really out there because people think you gotta buy these expensive plugins or whatever. Because I don't have Serum, which is a plugin for Fruity Loops and stuff. But I used GMS to produce a very similar sound that Serum can produce. And with doing what I can do, right? And my thing is, I just want to make the music I want to make, and as it evolves I might buy some plugins and do some things, but you got to work with what you got for now. So if you're waiting to buy a bunch of stuff, or don't wait, just start with whatever you have and just start so you can practice and start to build your own sound.